was my hair.
I mean, it was like guys shot in 2009, released in 2010. We all dated guys with hair. And Vincenzo, like, so you've seen it a number of times, obviously, over the years. It's getting rep screened again and again. New audiences are finding it all the time. How does it feel to watch it now?
Good, yeah. You know, it's one of the babies.
Yes.
It's one of the kids. Yeah. No, you know, it's funny. I didn't watch it this time. I watched it last little bit, but I had seen it not long ago on the screen in a very nice environment. And the thing that really hit me about it was just how good the actors are. Mm-hmm. I had sort of forgotten like how amazing you are and how amazing Sarah is and Adrian and David. And, like I was really and Delphine who plays Dren. Like I was kind of blown away by that.
Because it's a really tonally complex film, and it's one of the few films of this ilk. I mean, it's unique and very singular, but it's like everyone in the film knows what film they're in. There's no one like is speaking down to it or mocking it or seems like uncomfortable in a way that they don't want to play. Like everyone's getting into it, which is really exciting to watch. And so, where did this come from?
I don't think I know. What was I thinking? It came from a mouse, actually. There was an MIT experiment called the Vocanti mouse. I don't know if anyone would remember this. But if you saw it, you would remember it because it was effectively a mouse that appeared to have a human ear growing out of its back. And it was a naked mouse, like a hairless mouse. And I just remember seeing that image and just, the mouse looked so vulnerable. And I felt sorry for the mouse. And yeah, I kind of felt like there was a movie in the mouse, even though the mouse didn't make it into the movie. But it was that sort of collision, the nexus between genetic engineering and then just how messed up we are as human beings. That was the beginning of it. I wrote a short film with Antoinette Terry while we were at the Film Center, and then after we finished that, after we graduated, after I made my first film, we decided to write it as a feature film. And so it was kind of an epic journey. It took 12 years from the time we had our first feature film draft, which I remember was Valentine's Day, 1997. Wow. Or 8, till when it came out. And it almost got, it's a crazy, I could spend like an hour telling you the whole story, but it was a crazy story because the film almost got made in 2000 with the producer here, who was very, very well heeled, and then he decided not to do the film. And so I thought, well, the film was truly dead at that point because not only had we failed to make it this one time, but now there was like, we had spent $500,000 developing it and doing like visual effects tests and so on and so on. So I had this like very weird script plus $500,000 against it, meaning whoever might pick up would have to pay that bill. But somehow it happened. It's extraordinary to me. It was only because a French company decided they wanted to do it.
Well, and it's a film that, I mean, obviously it's this homegrown horror. It's a series about Canadian horror films. And as a Canadian film, it feels so expansive. Like not only like the special effects, but like frankly, the multiple sets that there are. And you know, I think we can't kind of get over what it's like. You know, I certainly consider this a Canadian film, and there's telefilm money and all that good stuff in there. There's also a nice big Warner Brothers logo in front of it, and I don't know if all of you know the kind of mega producer Joel Silver and caught his name out there. He's largely known for doing big action franchises, like Lethal Weapon is kind of the one he's most known for and was one of his big kickoffs. But how did he come to be involved in this? Because there are stories about this man in Hollywood, not all of them very pleasant.
Yeah, again, this could be a very long story, but so the film is absolutely Canadian. It's a Canada-France co-production. It was produced independently. That's why, only a French company would say yes to this, because when they read the script, they're like, pourquoi pas? Of course he would. That was the big issue, any other place that I went to was the sex, but to me, that was the whole raison d'etre of the movie in a way. Anyway, so they Gaumont valiantly paid for the film. We made it, finished it in 2009, right in time for the World Financial collapse, economic collapse, and at which point, like, really nobody was buying movies. No one had the money to buy independent films, and if they did, the only way it happens is if you came to them with your P&A budget. Like, you had to come. It was like you couldn't even give it away. But somehow, sorry, now you're getting the long story. Somehow, Gomag got MGM interested. So I was like, you got to sell this movie, like right now, like sign it right now. And Gomag is like this, it is literally the world's oldest film studio. They're just like kind of, they're wonderful, but they're slow. And they weren't signing, and guess what? MGM went out of business. So that didn't happen. Then Sony, with, I think they were called Picture House at the time, showed interest. And we got into this Sundance Film Festival. And so I was like, you have got to sign this deal with Sony. Like, do it now. Like, who knows if this thing's shown at Sundance, what people are going to say when they see it. They get terrible reviews. Like, just sign it. And they wouldn't do it. And thank God they didn't, because what happened at Sundance was somehow someone that worked for Joel Silver saw it. And Joel Silver had a shingle at Warner Brothers called Dark Castle. And although he had never acquired a movie before, which is why we never showed it to them, for some weird reason he decided he wanted this one. So it was amazing. All of a sudden we're at Warner Brothers and going to get a 2000 screen release, which was like beyond belief. So, like, the movie was like The Creature. Every time you thought it was dead, in a more extraordinary form than it had been. And so that's what happened. And I cried. Like, I remember going into the Warner Brothers publicity department, which is like, it's a boardroom table that is like the size of half of this theater, with like 40 people around it, all looking at us like, what do you want us to do with your movie? And I just, my producer Steve, like, I cried. It was so unbelievable. But I was terrified at the same time, because Joel Silver, who did the Lethal Weapon movies and the Matrix movies, and is actually, like, there's a character, if you've ever seen True Romance that Saul Rubinek plays, it's based on Joel Silver. Like, he's a very bombastic, classic Hollywood kind of producer. So I just thought, well, he's gonna rip it to shreds. Like, he's gonna take it, he's gonna gut it and recut it. He was a pussycat.
Really?
He was so sweet. So what then happened, I'm sorry for doing all the talking. No, so then what happened was, he was like, well, I think we could sweeten it a little bit. So we went in, we did another color grade on the Warner's lot. I had like,
that's crazy,
a parking space on the Warner's
What?
lot for a very brief period of time. Never happened again. And we sweetened the soundings as well. And then he said, I want to do, and we trimmed a little bit of the chasing.
Okay.
It was his suggestion, and he felt like he needed something to, we shot one shot, which is like preceding Dren coming back to life. Like, he thought we needed to hint to the audience that something was going to happen. That was it. And anything he suggested, like, it's your movie. I'm just suggesting, it's like your movie. So that was the Joel Silver experience. He was lovely.
My gosh, the rumors are untrue, friends. And as you were saying, Brandon, like, some of the most incredible stuff about the film, watching it now, especially on the big screen, is the effects, which Howard Berger and Greg Nicotero, like, how cool is that? What is it like acting alongside of all of those creatures, not only Dren, but also like Friend Ginger and all of that?
It was an amazing experience. I remember a lot, even thinking about the way it looked, and all every shot was like a piece of art. And it was like, we would sit for hours while they set up these shots. And then being introduced, we had a lot of practical things. I remember the scene where they were introducing Fred Ginger. I remember getting to see it. It was actually on the stage there in front of us. But then some of it was also introduced to running around looking at a tennis ball and not knowing what it was going to be. And I remember being rigged in the middle of the night in January to be like pulled up in the air when I was getting killed. I was rigged up and they just yanked me on a wire into the air. But so all of it was kind of great. And I always go back to the thing, as I remember going on set, and you had a shot list. And I didn't know what a great artist you were. Every shot was drawn out. He had storyboarded the whole movie. And I was like, this is amazing. He knows exactly what he wants this to look like. And it happened. So it was amazing to me. And I look at that and I see that, thinking about it being a Canadian film and having worked in business, I'm like, it really is a Canadian film. I'm like, look at that, it looks beautiful, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think that's partially why, like one of the many reasons why it still holds up, like that mix of practical and CGI and the care and attention, like that's clearly plotted throughout, and it's a testament to the film. All right, questions, raise your hand. Oh, I see one in the back, with the black sleeve.
Could you talk a little bit about Dren and the design of the creature and sort of what went into that?
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, that was the fun part, of course, because we got to be like Clyde and Elsa. And so Dren had many parents. There were a lot of artists that contributed to her creation over a long stretch of time. So as I say, in 1999, we started working with a producer, and I brought in like a group of artists. Literally, like it was 3 artists, and we just sat in a room for a week and drew like hell. And we did a test. We actually shot a test, did this whole thing. And so that was kind of like phase 1 of Dren. The concept was always more or less what she ended up being, but the technology evolved, and then we tried to, I really wanted, my goal, I don't know if we succeeded, but my goal was to like approach the science of genetics to the same degree of realism that Stanley Kubrick approached the science of space travel in 2001. Like I worked with geneticists. There are actually geneticists in the film playing geneticists. And the crazy thing about it, when I wrote it, I was consulting with a geneticist. The crazy thing about it is every time I'd say, well, if they did this and this, would that work? They'd be like, yeah. Really, because it's such an elastic, it's terrifying. I mean, it's such an elastic medium, or I won't say medium, science. Like it's highly unlikely that you could make a Dren, and certainly not in one go. You'd be super, super lucky. But according to the people I was working with, it's like, no, that could happen. So we really tried. We had a less is more approach to the design. It was always, my thinking was it's going to be more unsettling if we're subtractive in the design of our creature than additive. Usually with movie monsters, it's like about adding stuff. And I was like, well, can we take things away or alter things subtly, because we're so sensitive to the human form that a small change is actually more shocking than a big one. And we actually had to write core. We had 3 fabulous visual effects companies, 2 in France, 1 in Toronto. The one in Toronto was Core. They did all the human integration stuff, and they wrote the software to spread Delphine Cheniac, who plays Dren, her eyes. So we'd spread her eyes. It was literally like a dial. And I'll never forget, I got so accustomed to seeing her with those eyes. And then one day we turned it off, and I was like, ugh! It was like an extraordinarily beautiful woman, but it's interesting like how your brain becomes, but it was that little change I think had such an impact. So that was kind of the philosophy behind it. But as I say, we had a brilliant artist in New York named Danny Roulette who worked on it. We had an amazing animator, Canadian animator, Chris Landreth, did some designs, who did this one Academy Award for short film Ryan. Of course, I did drawings, and an artist I work with here a lot, Amber Tia, really did the final work. Anyways, and then there was K&B came in. Anyway, long answer, sorry. But that was Dren was created over a long period of time by many people.
All right, other questions? Okay, I see one in the back. Yes, you.
Okay. Oh shit. I have 2 questions. I'm debating which one I should ask. Shit. How did Guillermo del Toro get involved?
I met Guillermo, I really met Guillermo at a Portuguese film festival called Fantasporto, and yeah, and he said, you know, man, I'd really like to produce a movie for you. Splice. And so so that was after the film had, the first iteration that had collapsed.
The $500,000 one.
The one that we spent $500,000
Yes.
just like messing around. And yeah, so Guillermo said that it was this weird like I really believe in fate.
Yeah.
The planets aligned. So that happened. Guillermo showed some interest, and I knew producers in LA, John Murphy and Susan Munford, who were partnered and friends with Guillermo, and they were pushing Splice to him as well. And then I got a call from a French producer I knew named Yves Chevalier, who hooked up with Gaumont. He said they're looking for scripts at Gaumont. And then I had done this like 5-minute film for a omnibus movie called Paris Je t'aime, which was like a little vampire movie that had a kind of morbid love story in it. And that played in Cannes. And I think it was like that summer. And then like it was like all those things sort of combined, just timing, and it was excruciating getting Gaumont to say yes, but they eventually did, and that's how it happened.
Okay, I think we have time for another audience.
And that's how Guillermo was involved, sorry. And I think Guillermo, who's like an amazing, incredible, magical human being, and was very helpful in editing too.
Well, he's such like a fan of the genre, and he's so passionate about filmmaking and getting stuff into cinemas and getting people out watching it. Okay, I saw this hand. Yeah.
I've been to a Canadian movie madness, but Guillermo del Toro, I was really excited about this one. But let's go back to the Splice. So I was wondering where the shirt of Adrian Brody came from. Like, he looks like a post-punk frontman, Yeah, I was just wondering, in general, a question about the costume design. Like, did you participate in it? How do you feel like the creative choices were? What do you feel about it? What do you think about it? Yeah.
How did you feel about your costume design?
I took some of them home. No, I actually really, that was something that I felt so cool when I walked in the costume designers. They were like, this is what you guys are going to be. And it was a bit like, you sent us out to work with geneticists, I remember, and then we would also be like, but you're kind of like a punk rock band. You're the punk rock people of the genetic world. And then we would try on these costumes, and I was kind of following Adrian's lead, like he had all his costumes ready to go. And I remember I was like, this is great. I'm like, this is doing the work for me.
I took some of the wardrobe home.
Did you? Yeah.
Alex Kavanaugh was the costume designer. She had worked on a film I'd done that no one's ever seen called Nothing before that. And but I had, there's a geneticist named Craig Venter who was the guy who really mapped the human genome, and he was kind of a rock and roll guy. Like, he would ride a Harley to the lab, and that was part of my thinking. Was, well, yeah, like, they're going to be like computer hackers. They're going to be these people who mess with this stuff. They're not going to be, nerdy people like me with pocket protectors and stuff. They're going to be punks. And so yeah, that was the approach to the wardrobes. Yeah, they're young, and that's why they're so stupid. They're young. They're not mature enough to know really what they're doing.
Yeah, it's that quality of youth that allows you the ability to rebel before you realize all the consequences. And I also noticed that everyone kind of starts out like that punk rock band thing that everyone has going on, and Sarah Polly's got this great jacket as she's like rushing out of that first meeting with the pharma company, and then by the time Dren is kind of mature, she's like a little dowdy. She's got a little bit of a mom because she's busy, she's tired. I love that there's like that kind of journey of her. She's like, okay, this sweater looks cozy. Do it. So we have to unfortunately start wrapping up, but I did want to ask you both a question, because again, homegrown horror, Canadian cinema, What does Canadian horror mean to the both of you? Are there any kind of reoccurring themes or motifs, tenets, anything like that when I say Canadian horror to you that comes to mind?
I'll let you start with that because you definitely have that.
Well, I mean, you know, we don't get out much, right? Like it's cold out there, so we spend a lot of time indoors as a society, and so I think that a thing that's very particular to Canadian horror films is that they tend to be very internal, and the horror tends to emerge from, this is a Cronenbergian thing. We're all children of Cronenberg here, but, you know, it emerges from within, or it tends to be very, I know you had Bruce's film, Pontypool, you know, very like physically contained.
Yes.
And that, you know, it's those sort of interior spaces, I think, where horror really flourishes. That's why there are a lot of, I think that's one of the reasons why there's just a lot of horror films that come out of Canada, and especially these days, like the output is so strong. It's true.
It's your turn.
Oh, my knowledge of horror isn't as extensive, but actually that's what you said. It kind of reminds me of what I said about shooting this film, being out in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock in the morning when it was freezing cold. And it was just, there's a lot of dark days, a lot of long nights, and
It feels unrelenting, the Canadian horror film. There's this sense that it's like perpetually coming for us, that it's something that even if it's dormant, it's about to awaken and find us. And I think we all felt like summer is slowly winding down, but just even the shots of their like really cool apartment loft thing, and it's like snowing outside, and I felt like, oh, it's coming for us soon. So this is about time, but I believe you also had one thing you wanted to wrap up with.
Oh, well, so there's a Splice novelization. I brought some books if anyone cares to purchase them. I also did a graphic novel, so I will be standing by this table. See if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
It's actually, the novelization is very good. Written by Claire Donner.
Oh, wait.
Do you know Claire?
I think so, yeah.
Claire runs
In New York?
Miskatonic
Yes, I know her.
Institute
She's
of New York.
awesome.
She's brilliant.
Yes.
And she wrote this very beautifully written novelization.
Oh my gosh. Come by, check it
Had
out.
enough Splice.
There's never enough
No, there's
Splice.
Splice is Splice.
All right, well, thank you so much, everyone. For being here.